in Ukraine, and we're going to welcome in correspondent for American Military News, Ryan Mauro. Ryan, great to see you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well, let's start in Iran, and the Washington Post is reporting that the Ayatollah's regime has reportedly increased its use of assassins to target Jews, Israelis, and Iranian dissidents abroad. We also have these reports that they're talking about disbanding the morality police. I don't know how accurate those reports are. Maybe it's just a response to the increasing pressure they see from the public. But give us your take on what's happening inside Iran right now.
Well, when it comes to the regime's targeting of dissidents around the world, those are acts of terror. Those are acts of aggression against the free world when they engage in those plots. And really what the regime is terrified of is the Iranian opposition forming a really organized government outside of the borders of Iran, or at least a major political force. Right now, what is working to the regime's benefit is that there is a leadership vacuum among the Iranian opposition. There's many different leaders, but it's not organized into one cohesive force right now. And so the Iranian regime wants to stop that. As for what's going on inside of Iran, obviously we're all very encouraged and inspired by what the Iranian people are doing and protesting so bravely. But there are a few things we have to look for before we can say that the regime is going to fall or start collapsing. We are not yet seeing the Revolutionary Guards Corps defect and joining the opposition. We're not seeing major movement of police forces and other militiamen switching sides and joining the forces of the opposition. So those are signs that we should be looking for in the coming weeks as the violence continues.
Let's change now to Ukraine and get your take on what's happening there. We continue to see this assault by Vladimir Putin on the country and the infrastructure itself. I mean, it's every day almost sounds like the same. It is bleak. It's wintertime there. Do you see any significant changes happening in the near term when it comes to the war in Ukraine?
Well, the biggest change I see is just a massive increase in the suffering. What Russia is doing really are acts of terrorism, and this can be argued to be a weapon of mass destruction. It's not the typical chemical, biological, radiological, or nuclear weapon of mass destruction that we're used to talking about. But when you're trying to essentially freeze a country into submission, you're knocking out their power, you're targeting the civilian infrastructure, that is a form of WMD. And this is something that the U.S. needs to pay close attention to, because we have to keep our eye on the ball in regards to the great power competition that's going on, because Russia is a competitor to the United States. They do have an anti-American ideology. This isn't just about a land dispute between Russia and Ukraine or Putin wanting to just take over Ukraine. There's a very specific ideology that's driving this, and that ideology includes aligning with China. So this also applies to our own competition with both China and Russia at the same time. So there are big consequences for the entire world here.